Hi, this is Dr. Vince Melanzi. Let's talk a little more about sex. It's everybody's favorite subject. Well, maybe not everybody. I find a lot of people are having libido problems. It's too bad that people are in such a state of health that they don't feel like sex. It's something that is enjoyable, and when people are healthy, generally it's something that they do together to share, to connect, and it can be a very pleasurable thing. But if you don't even have any desire for it, you have to wonder what may be going on. There's 9 things, though, I wanted to talk about to enhance the sexual experience. And maybe just to help your partner or just to be with your partner, you want to be able to enhance that experience. So let's talk about a few things you can do. Think about the word optimal. I'm talking about optimal sex, the very best you could ever have. I'm talking about an optimal life, getting everything done that you want to do, feeling great, getting things accomplished, and feeling like you're fulfilled. That's what I want for you. First and foremost, you have to realize that sex is really psychological. So much of sex is in your mind. And I mean that in a good way. If you're not engaged mentally in that sexual act, if your libido's not there, if you're not interested, if you're not present, then sex is just going to be a physical act. And it can be so much more than that. So you've got to have that component there. Spend a little time cultivating that. Make sure that your brain is functioning well. Maybe you need to work on your health so that you have the proper balance of neurotransmitters, so that your brain really is working well enough to enjoy sex. It's a very important component. It's probably the most important component. The rest is physiology. Your mind is also physiology, it's also chemistry, but if you don't have your mind engaged, you're not going to enjoy anything, especially sex. So, first of all, consider the psychological component. The fact that you have to be present, that you have to connect, all the things that you probably are told by your partner. But it's important. You have to have that psychological part covered. That's why it's not such a great idea to drink a lot of alcohol before sex. You can probably do with a little bit, but it's going to change your mental function. It's not a good idea to do many drugs. It's going to alter the sexual experience, usually in the wrong way. So you've got to consider that psychological component. That's number 1. The second factor we have to talk about in the 9 is hormones. Again, if you're not healthy, if you don't have your hormones balanced, let's say you're not eating very well, you're not getting enough protein and good fats, and you're not making enough hormones, or something has your hormones out of balance for another reason. Diet's often one of the most common reasons. But if the hormones aren't working correctly, it's going to affect how your body works. It's going to affect your desire. It's going to affect the physical function. It's going to affect lubrication for the woman. It's going to affect the function of the male. If your hormones are out of balance, the sexual act is going to be a real problem. It's going to be something that won't be as fulfilling as it could be. So you want to work on getting those hormones in balance. It comes down to taking care of yourself. Sometimes you can get a little help by seeing a professional and using hopefully more bioidentical hormones, but you want to create that hormone balance. Eventually, though, you want to be able to have your body functioning without the need of something from the outside. But hormones are something important to consider. Of course, the next factor we have to consider is vascular function. Extremely important for the male or the female. If you can't deliver blood, then the genitals just won't work. And that's part of sex. If you can't make the genitals function because you can't get blood to them, you're not going to be able to have sex. And the other thing, for just the tactile sensations, for the feelings, for the whole act, you need good circulation. And remember, sex is physical. We can even put it in the category of exercise. If you don't have good heart function, if you can't deliver blood, if your cardiovascular system isn't working very good because you haven't been doing the things that it takes to keep yourself in shape, you're going to have a problem. Maybe you just can't finish the act. Maybe you'll really hurt yourself. People have been known to stroke and have heart attacks during sex. It's because they weren't in very good shape in the first place. So it's important to look at vascular function. The other thing we have to consider is whether you smoke or not. Or there are certain drugs as well that can affect circulation. Smoking, though, targets the circulation very, very negatively. So if you do smoke, you should consider stopping. Of course, we've got to talk about your lungs, but what it does to circulation causes problems all over the body, including your ability to have sex and enjoy it. So we have to look at that vascular component. You have to be cardiovascularly fit so that you can enjoy sex. The next thing we have to consider is nerves, neurological function. You have to be able to not only think and have anticipation and all the things leading up to foreplay and the sex act, but you have to be able to feel what's going on. It's the sensation that drives the brain, right? So if you haven't been taking care of yourself, if you don't have good nerve function, then you're not going to be able to complete the act. It takes physical stimulation as well as mental stimulation to finish this whole process, to enjoy it. So if you don't have nerves functioning very well, because let's go back to nutrition. If you're not getting the nutrients you need, you're going to have a problem with nerve functioning. If you're diabetic, you're going to have neuropathy. You won't enjoy sex as much. You don't have the nerves functioning. If you don't get enough B vitamins, there are certain vitamins that can affect neurological function. There are other nutrients that are required for your nerves to function well. If you're not taking care of yourself and the neurology isn't there, you're going to miss out. The next influence on sex we have to talk about is chemicals. As I mentioned a couple minutes ago, you don't want to be drinking too much alcohol. You need to be careful of the medications that you're taking. Realize that some medications you may take to enhance your sexual experience may be making it less enjoyable. The chemicals that you put into your body can definitely interfere with all of sexual function, especially the mental function. So if you're taking drugs of some kind in order to help the experience, why don't you try without it? You'll probably find that the experience is much more enjoyable. The chemicals that you take can interfere. Some chemicals might enhance the experience, but they don't enhance the entire experience. In other words, you may get a certain stimulation in one part of the brain, but not in others. You may not be able to complete the act. You want the experience to be something that all the way through you can enjoy and perform and get something out of, rather than forcing the issue. But a lot of chemicals will interfere, and that's a problem. Especially when we talk about a lot of the antipsychotic drugs, when we talk about antidepressants, when we talk about other things that are meant to help with mood and emotions, they definitely can mess up the whole sexual experience. In fact, in so many cases, there's quite a loss of libido. So we need to find out ways to balance the chemistry without using outside chemicals. Getting the body to balance itself out, much more important. Then we've got to think about how healthy you are. If you have had things develop, as we mentioned before, diabetes, cardiovascular symptoms, if you're not healthy, there's no way you can perform the sexual act to its fullest. You're going to have problems. You can't have high blood pressure and have really good sex. You can't have diabetes and have as good a sex. Anything that you do to your health is going to affect the sexual experience. It's going to affect it for you, and it's going to affect it for your partner. Sure, you can get through it, and it can be something that's done and over, and maybe a small bit of enjoyment about it. But think back to a time when you had really good sex, and it most likely was a time when you were a little healthier. Or if you're healthy right now, you probably find that your sexual experience has been enhanced. So if you have a health problem, solve it. There is a solution to any health problem out there. Now, you probably can't heal it overnight. You probably are going to have to change it in stages in small amounts. But for the benefit of your partner, for the benefit of you, start working on your health. That will work on your sexual experience. And it's an important part of life. Remember, humans are only one of a few species that actually has sex for fun, for pleasure, for connection. Healthier partners make a better experience. Number 8 is sexual enhancement drugs. You know, there are drugs out there that will help a man if he can't get an erection, keep an erection sometimes for too long. There are drugs that help women as well. But a drug to have sex, first of all, you've got a dependence. That's not health at all. You're dependent on the drug. You got to go find the pill. It's got to be at the right time. You got all this stress around it. Why not just be able to have sex when you want to have sex? The other thing is that these drugs that are used to enhance the sexual act because you don't have your own physiological function, they're causing other health problems for you. They can cause stroke. They can cause heart disease. So using a drug just so you can do the sexual act, especially when that drug has many side effects, probably not the best strategy. You can do so much by getting yourself in better shape, by looking at your health, by improving your diet. These are things you can do that will give you positive benefits across the board, as opposed to taking a pill and hoping that it'll get you through. But so many people are taking these drugs and having some pretty nasty effects from them. I don't think it's worth it. Okay, number 9 is diet. I've spoken before about how important diet is. I can't emphasize it enough. Your body listens to what you put in it. You communicate through your food. You can tell yourself things. Your brain is connected as well through daily affirmations. You can give your body messages through the immune system, depending on what you're exposed to. But the biggest exposure you have, short of air, is the food you put in your body. And all of these chemicals and substances that get in the body, if the body recognizes them, it uses them readily and it's no real problem. If your body gets the nutrients in and you have proper communication, everything works so much better. As I've spoken about before, cellular communication is based on substances such as kinases. And these kinases are directly influenced by the food you eat. You're talking to your body through your food. If you send the wrong message, sex isn't going to be any good either. If you're overweight, if you're diabetic, as we talked about, all the things that can be a problem because you're not eating the right food, sex isn't going to be the same thing. If you're eating good food, you have all the nutrients, everything's functioning well, then sex can be quite enjoyable. So which way do you want it? Do you want it artificial? Do you want to take what you can get? Or do you want to maximize the experience? I'd rather have the latter. So what we really are talking about is being healthy and well. Whether we're talking about having sex, whether we're talking about climbing a mountain, whether we're talking about having a hike, whatever you want to talk about, whatever aspect of life, whatever it is you really enjoy, you're not going to enjoy it to its fullest if you're not healthy. There are so many people that wait years to go do something, and because they haven't addressed their health, they can't really enjoy it. Quite a letdown. Time after time, people that have accumulated a great deal of wealth, yet they didn't take care of their health, regret that fact. So whether we're talking about having really good sex and being able to have a partnership with somebody and enjoy that partnership, being able to enjoy life to its fullest, whether we're talking about feeling good, looking good, or just being able to perform at whatever you do, it really comes down to health and wellness. And those aren't just words I'm throwing out there. They're concepts that describe optimum function. They're concepts that describe physical, mental, and social well-being. That's a mouthful. That's saying a lot. Think about all those words and think about the word optimal. I'm talking about optimal sex, the very best you could ever have. I'm talking about an optimal life, getting everything done that you want to do, feeling great, getting things accomplished, and feeling like you're fulfilled. That's what I want for you. So don't just take what you can get. Don't just look for a pill, quick fix, convenience. Look for optimum. Look for the best sex you could ever have. This is Dr. Vince Belanzi. Be healthy.
For more great videos like this one, check out the Psyche Truth channel on YouTube.